Robert Hanssen's espionage activities constitute one of the most egregious breaches of trust in U.S. history, marking a dark chapter in the annals of American intelligence. For over 2 decades, Hanssen, an ostensibly loyal FBI agent, methodically supplied the Soviet Union, and later Russia, with a vast array of highly classified information. The full extent of the damage he caused is still considered incalculable, but it is clear that his actions had far-reaching consequences for U.S. national security, international relations, and the integrity of the intelligence community. Born in 1944 in Chicago, Robert Philip Hanssen had a seemingly ordinary upbringing. After completing his education with degrees in chemistry and business, Hanssen briefly considered becoming a dentist before shifting his focus to law enforcement. He initially worked as an accountant, but his career took a turn when he joined the Chicago Police Department. During his time as a police officer, Hanssen was assigned to an elite unit tasked with investigating corruption. His performance in this role led him to apply to the FBI, where he began his career as a special agent in 1976. His early assignments took him to field offices in Indiana and New York City, where he was involved in counterintelligence work. This work, particularly his role in compiling a database of Soviet intelligence operatives in New York, would set the stage for his future as a double agent. Hanssen's descent into espionage began in 1979, driven by a combination of financial pressures and personal ambition. At that time, he approached the Soviet GRU, Main Intelligence Directorate, and offered his services. Unlike many spies motivated by ideological reasons, Hanssen's motivation was purely financial. He was struggling to support his growing family, and he saw selling secrets to the Soviets as a way to alleviate his financial burdens. His initial contributions to the Soviets were significant, including providing details about the FBI's surveillance operations and the identities of suspected Soviet agents. However, his most devastating act during this period was the betrayal of Dmitry Polyakov, a high-ranking Soviet military officer who had been a critical CIA asset for years. Polyakov's eventual arrest and execution in 1988 were directly linked to Hanssen's treachery. Hanssen's early foray into espionage was marked by a brief hiatus. In the early 1980s, after his initial contact with the Soviets, Hanssen's wife, Bernadette, discovered his activities. Deeply religious, she urged him to confess to a Catholic priest, who advised Hanssen to stop spying and to donate the money he had received to charity. Hanssen complied, making a donation to a charity associated with Mother Teresa and temporarily cutting off contact with the Soviets. However, this period of abstinence was short-lived. By 1985, Hanssen had resumed his espionage activities, this time with a new level of caution and sophistication. When Hanssen re-engaged with Soviet intelligence in 1985, he did so under the pseudonym Ramon, and this second phase of his espionage was characterized by greater care and complexity. He avoided direct contact with his handlers, relying instead on encrypted communications, dead drops, and other clandestine methods to pass information. Hanssen's intelligence was highly valued by the Soviets, not only because of its content, but also because of the reliability and consistency of the information he provided. Among the most critical data he leaked during this period were details of U.S. nuclear war strategies, advancements in military technologies, and the inner workings of U.S. counterintelligence. Hanssen also compromised several covert operations and revealed the identities of multiple double agents, leading to their arrests and, in some cases, executions. One of the most striking aspects of Hanssen's espionage was the irony of his professional responsibilities within the FBI. By the mid-1980s, the FBI and CIA were increasingly concerned about a mole within the U.S. intelligence community, as several operations had been compromised. In a twist of fate, Hanssen was assigned to a task force specifically created to find the mole within the FBI. This assignment effectively placed Hanssen in charge of hunting for himself. Despite the intense scrutiny, Hanssen managed to deflect suspicion and continued to pass sensitive information to the Soviets. His ability to evade detection for so long was a testament to his skills in tradecraft and his deep understanding of the FBI's internal operations. As the Cold War drew to a close and the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, Hanssen became more cautious, fearing that former KGB agents might defect to the West and reveal his activities. He temporarily ceased his espionage activities, but resumed them in the late 1990s, now dealing with the Russian SVR, the successor to the KGB. Despite his increasing paranoia, Hanssen continued to provide valuable intelligence, though he was more selective and careful in his communications. The downfall of Robert Hanssen came in 2001, thanks to a combination of internal FBI efforts and a critical piece of intelligence from a former KGB operative. This operative, who had obtained Hanssen's file from the KGB archives, offered it to the United States for $7 million. Although the file did not explicitly name Hanssen, it contained enough evidence to lead the FBI to him. Hanssen was placed under intense surveillance, and on 18th of February 2001, he was arrested in a Virginia park while attempting to make a dead drop. The arrest marked the end of one of the most damaging espionage careers in U.S. history. In the wake of his arrest, Hanssen quickly accepted a plea deal to avoid the death penalty. He pleaded guilty to 14 counts of espionage and 1 count of conspiracy to commit espionage. As part of the deal, he received 15 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole. Hanssen spent the remainder of his life in solitary confinement at ADX Florence, the highest security federal prison in the United States, where he died in 2023. The full impact of Hanssen's betrayal is difficult to measure, but it undoubtedly caused extensive damage to U.S. national security. The intelligence he provided to the Soviets and Russians not only undermined key U.S. operations, but also led to the deaths of several valuable assets. The case shook the FBI to its core, prompting significant reforms in how the agency handles internal security, counterintelligence, and the vetting of personnel. Hanssen's actions serve as a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities that can exist even within the most trusted institutions. Robert Hanssen's story is not just one of betrayal, but also a cautionary tale about the profound consequences of espionage. His actions caused untold harm, both in terms of the intelligence he compromised and the trust he shattered within the FBI. The legacy of his betrayal continues to resonate within the intelligence community, serving as a reminder of the devastating impact that a single individual can have on national security.